Hi again, Panther fans, and welcome to Georgia State Football Weekly, our weekly Georgia State Football Coaches Show. We're here with head coach Trent Miles. And, Coach, a rough Saturday afternoon in the Georgia Dome against the Chattanooga Mocs out of the Southern Conference. 42-14, the final score, and we're on radio, and so I'm listening to your post-game comments as you're walking to the tunnel as the game has just ended, and I could kind of tell that obviously you were not happy with that ball game.
Well, first of all, let's give the credit to UT Chattanooga. They did a remarkable job of coming in and outplaying us and being able to run the ball down our throats, and which was very demoralizing on our sideline, and they controlled the game from the very beginning and completely outplayed us, and so give them, they and their coaches, the credit. But I wasn't pleased with our effort. I didn't think that we played as hard as we possibly could. I think some of that had to do with the fact they were running the ball down our throat, and our kids saw that, and they got down on themselves and got down. And when you're doing that, you can't play as hard as you can. And when you don't play as hard as you can, you don't look like you're a very talented football team. Simple as that. And I think that was part of the problem. And I know we came back at the end and scored some points, but it still was far too little, too late. And we've got to find a way to play with a lot of energy and start fast and physical. And when things don't go our way, we've got to keep our heads up. I saw that in the first game, and we were able to respond. And I don't know why it happened this game, but again, that falls on me. That's my responsibility to make sure that they're prepared for every situation. And we're going to open up our office and have the couch in. If you notice, I've got a couch in my office now, so we're going to turn into counselors and get in there and get them on the couch and get them go massage their brains mentally.
That was the puzzling thing, because when you and I sat here last week, even though it was a loss to Samford, I think everybody felt like, especially in that first half and maybe not so much in the second half, but the team had a fight in it. There was a battle mentality in it, that for whatever reason, because I thought it was a pretty good week of practice.
It was a good week.
It just didn't translate over when we got into the Dome.
Well, also, when people are telling you that, hey, good job, and you lost, hey, good job, we showed improvement, sometimes kids settle, and that kind of creeps into them. I always tell them all the time, don't believe the hype. When they're telling you you did good and you're great, you don't believe it. When they tell you how bad you really are, you don't believe that. You have to have confidence of knowing where you're always at. And I think that kind of creeped in a little bit. Everybody patting them on the back after a loss, and they settled for that, and they were satisfied with playing better in a loss. Well, it's still a loss. A loss is a loss. And when you settle for those things, and then all of a sudden you start getting hit in your mouth the next game, it's easy it ends up caving in on you. And some of that is part of the problem. So it's still a culture problem. It's still part of a mentality that we've got to continue to coach and weed out and get them on the psychiatrist's couch and counsel them and get it out of their thought process.
All right, we'll go to the Georgia Dome right now. First half highlights: Georgia State hosting a pretty good Chattanooga football team, since Georgia Southern and App State are not eligible for the Southern Conference Championship. Chattanooga was picked third. I mean, there's a little bit of hype on that team.
Preseason, they were the number 18 team in the nation. They were ranked well above Samford, and so they'll challenge.
And they end up scoring
here's
early
the
here.
Opening drive, they going down. They were able to run the ball. They got in a 2 tight end set and just kind of rammed it down our throats, and we weren't able to come out and really respond offensively. That was a key third down. We're just short our first drive, and we're third and 6, and we get 5.5, and we give it back to them. They got into a situation where we did stop the run a few times, but they had one key play. I remember a 3rd and 7, and they get 11 on running power. Here we are getting the ball to Albert Wilson on the fly sweep and stretching him out, and then here we've got Ronnie dropping back and finding Albert again on a 3rd down, and he's able to get a 1st down. So, we're thinking if we go down there and put some points on the board and be down 14-7, we're fighting right back in it. But we continue to move it down, and then we stalled on the drive, didn't get any points on the board. They were able to go down and score again, and our kids fell apart, and that falls back on me. Here we go, trying to stop the run with them, but then you see them here, and they're able to run some nakeds and put it up in the end zone. A pretty good coverage right there by D. Matthews. The young man made a good catch, but he was out of bounds. Coming back here, and then using their size, their tight end, they matched up their 6'4" tight end on our 5'7" corner, and was able to go up and make a play. You know, players make plays. Here we are hitting Robert Davis, our freshman, underneath. Or again, that might have been Albert. You know, we're going to start having to spread the ball around a little bit more. I think we're going to see more receivers starting to play. Good job by Keith Rucker, a freshman out of Cincinnati Moeller High School, with the catch over the middle. And again, you know, controlled passing game, being able to hit Dan Williams on a quick out, and a little bit, just not quite enough for what we were wanting to do.
So Panthers trailing as they head into the locker room at halftime, and we'll take a timeout. In the meantime, our cameras went into the Georgia State locker room following Saturday's game.
I thought they was pretty good on defense. They were very assigned. They played smart football. They did what we knew what they was going to do. We thought they ran the defense we thought they were, and better football team than we played last week.
They're a good team, and they played well today. But there's nothing that we didn't expect them to do. They came out in exactly the defense we thought they were going to.
It was never about them. You know, we understand that we have the talent, and that we do have a talented front on the line. But we did some things that we don't usually do. We made some mistakes that we don't usually make, and they were costly today.
We just didn't play to our ability. And, you know, Coach Miles tells us this. It has nothing to do with the other team. It's just jerseys change, but it's about us, not about them.
I feel like a lot of it is mental. It's just you have to go out there when bad things happen, just go on to the next play.
I saw guys kind of hanging their heads and stuff like that, just because it's so easy to then equate what's going on now to what went on before. But I think what we have to do as a team is understand that this is a new day, this is a new team, this is a new program, a new regime, a new everything. So with our new attitude, we have to really just look forward and understand that there will be obstacles. We just have to overcome them.
We're back here on Georgia State Football Weekly, visiting with Georgia State's head football coach Trent Miles. Georgia State and Chattanooga this past Saturday in the Georgia Dome, and you know, trailing this one at halftime. What's that?
Well, it was really just Chattanooga in the Georgia Dome. We didn't show up.
You made a change at quarterback in that fourth quarter. You went from Ronnie Bell, who had a pretty good game in the opener against Samford, and then you went ahead and brought in Ben McClain. I mean, Ronnie was just struggling in those first three quarters.
Well, he was getting beat up a little bit. We were allowing too much, you know, pressure on him. He was getting hit, and you know, the game was getting to the point where we needed to take a look at Ben.
Yeah.
You know, he's worked hard. And, you know, all the way up until the first game, you know, it was open competition. It still is. And, you know, he has battled and worked hard. So we wanted to get him in there and get him some experience and get him to get some live reps and see what he could do. And I thought he responded well, threw some balls that were deep balls and completed them and was able to go down. We missed the one wide open for a touchdown there in the last drive. But, you know, I thought he did a good job, and it pays off when you work hard.
Ben McClain came out firing. Right now, let's go back to the Georgia Dome. We'll look at some highlights. Again, Panthers did not score in that first half, Coach, but you know, once Ben came in, started slinging the ball around the field. And
good defensive play there by Brent McClendon, going up and batting that ball down, and then, you know, good stop by our defensive line. We got a good blitz, and you've got Alan McKay free to come in there and make that play. Here, this hurt us. I mean, here we have their quarterback who is a strong player. He's a good player. We knew he was going to be a threat, and he was able to run the ball on us. And again, anytime you give 401 yards of rushing up, you're not going to win. It doesn't matter what you do offensively. We only had the ball 21 minutes on the offensive side. Here you got Ben in first play, and you know, we get a little pump fake and send Robert Davis deep. He makes a good catch, gets down there, and then we come back and run the same play to the other side, exact same play to the other side, and he's able to find Albert Wilson on the same play and hit him and move it down. And then, you know, we get a little lucky on the touchdown pass. We get it deflected, and Albert stays with it. Really not a good decision to throw that ball. You know, we hit their linebacker right in the hands. It bounces up, and Albert's in the right place. So kind of luck on that one. But again, you see right there, just still too many yards given up running the ball. You know, you can't beat anybody, high school team, when you give up 400 yards of rushing. Do a good job of trying to get some pressure on the quarterback and getting him out of bounds, not letting him scramble. That was Jamil Spencer, a freshman, number 38, from Woodward Academy. Here we go, another deep pass where we threw to Robert Davis down the pipe. Again, being able to exploit a little bit of, their backups being in the game and
He had
trying
4
to move the
catches
ball.
for 100 yards.
Yeah, he's really playing well as a true freshman here. We've been able to get Albert over the middle, and then later on in the game we had Robert Davis wide open on 3rd or 4th down for a touchdown, and I think it was 4th down and overthrew him. But again, just far too little, too late, and you keep watching them. They had to go back to their ones because we started to close the gap a little bit, but they were able to move the ball and run out the clock on us, and we were able to get some younger guys in there and play, which is huge as far as getting their experience in. Here we go, it's a double pass from Ben to Kelton and air it out. We wanted to get things on film for teams to prepare against, and that was in the game plan, and didn't get a chance to call it earlier because of the way things were going, but was able to come back and do it a little bit later, and it worked. It was good to see it.
Albert Wilson ended up with 7 catches, 132 yards, 2 touchdowns. That was his 8th 100-yard or better receiving game. And as I said, Robert Davis, 4 catches for 100 yards. But in the end, it was a difficult loss to the Chattanooga Mocs. Let me ask you before we go to break, because we're going to talk to P.J. Volker, one of the assistant coaches in your staff, a little bit about him and what he brings. We talked to him on the radio show last week, but seems like a great guy, but what he brings to the Georgia State football program.
Coach Volker probably has the most important job on our team right now. He's the recruiting coordinator. And anytime that this is going to be a process. So people have to be patient. They have to understand, what we're trying to do and get done here to win football games. And I know everybody in America wants the quick fix and they want it done instantly. This is a quick fix society, but if you want to do it right and you want to build this program to be competitive with the rules are with APR and the amount of players that you can take, it's going to take a little bit of time, and the recruiting is the most important thing. And he's in charge of our recruiting, and I think it's gone great so far. We're happy with the freshmen that we brought in this year. We're playing some of them, probably around 10, and we've got 12 commitments at this time for next year, and we still are on some really good football players. So those are all organized and being led by P.J. Volker, who's been with me now for 4 years and does a fantastic job. He's got a great personality, very detailed and organized, and I couldn't think of a better guy to run our recruiting. So, I'm thrilled that he's with us. He does a great job coaching the linebackers, and he is a very intense coach. And at one time, he has been approached by Hollywood to be a stunt double or a double for Jack Black. So when you see him, when you look at him, you'll know why. But we joke about that all the time. But he's great personality and great young man to do the things that we need in the recruiting and just a role model.
All right, on the other side of this break, we'll visit with assistant coach, the linebackers coach and recruiting coordinator, P.J. Volker. You're watching Georgia State Football Weekly. We're back on Georgia State Football Weekly. It's our Inside Athletics segment, and pleased to be joined by P.J. Volker, the coach of the linebackers, also Georgia State football's recruiting coordinator. And P.J., great to have you. And
thanks for having me.
You're one of the guys that came with Coach Miles from Indiana State. Talk about that adjustment coming from a program that you guys started out building, and literally, this process, you've been through this before, finally got it up to 3 straight winning seasons, and then you come to Georgia State, and it's like starting all over again, building another program. Talk about that transition for you.
Sure. Well, I went there to Indiana State in 2010, so I caught the tail end. I was there for the 3 winning seasons, so I got a chance to be involved with the good times over there.
As I say, you were there at the right time.
Yeah, the right time. But then unfortunately, Coach called me. I was on a recruiting trip down in Louisville, Kentucky. He called me, had just left Ballard High School, and asked me to come with him to Georgia State. Obviously, called my wife, and she was ecstatic to leave Terre Haute, Indiana, and come to Atlanta. So we came here, and obviously a lot of similarities. But like Coach Miles always said, the tradition here just hasn't been set yet.
Yeah.
There, it was a little bit of a losing tradition. And he did the things that he did to get it to be a winning tradition there. So here, we're putting those things in place to be successful, and I believe in Coach Miles' plan and what we're doing on a daily basis.
Tell me just a little bit about your background.
Sure, I'm from Cincinnati, Ohio. I played football at the College of Mount St. Joseph in Elder High School. College of Mount St. Joe, we had the nation's longest losing streak before I got there as well. Coach Minner and myself, we played together there. We broke an 18-game losing streak our sophomore year, second game of our sophomore year. So, you know, we know what it's like to turn a program around, and from doing it as players, and then obviously as coaches as well. So that's where we came from. That's how I ended up at Indiana State as well, was Coach Minner gave me a call when a job came open in late June.
So the situation here is that you guys are relatively new here again. You know, this Georgia State in their first season with this coaching staff. So you got to come in here, you got to evaluate what you've got.
Sure.
You've got to kind of indoctrinate yourself and visit all the high schools across the state at the same time while getting ready for a season that's not off in the too distant future, meaning the season we're in right now. It's a lot on your plate at one time.
Sure, it was a lot of different things going on, almost things coming at you from all different angles, but it was an exciting time. Something that I know the whole staff was really excited about, getting a chance to get down here, experience something new. The high school coaches here have been phenomenal. Get a chance, when we were in the spring, we went to every school in the state, got a chance to talk with every high school coach in the state of Georgia. There's such rich talent and tradition down here, and we need to tap into those talent lines here at Georgia State, and we will.
The interesting thing, everybody talks about, you know, some of your better states for college football recruiting. Obviously, Georgia's one of them. Florida, just south of us, is another one. But the thing is, it's not just Georgia State, Georgia, Georgia Tech, Georgia Southern going after these kids. You got schools from all over the country coming in. I know Coach Miles has said he recruited Atlanta over the years at the different stops he's been at.
Definitely. We run into all different teams, different divisions. They come here because they know the type of talent that they're going to get. They're coached well in high school. A lot of the thing that got me was a lot of the high school programs mold what they do off of what Division I teams do. So kids are used to going through mat drills. Kids are used to doing the conditioning drills and things like that in the winter. So there's not as big a gap as when, you know, other schools may be from other states when they enter Division I football. And then being out to every school in the spring, I know I told you this off air, but we're at every school, and almost every school has at least one Division I prospect, and a lot of them a heck of a lot more.
Big difference between Indiana, which is a basketball state. Football is something to do while you're waiting for the basketball season. Now you're in a state, it's the complete opposite. Well, though basketball's still pretty big and pretty popular, but it's a football state.
Sure. That's awesome for us. You know, I think in Indiana, Indianapolis, a lot of good football players, and then it's a little just hit and miss throughout the rest of the state. Here, like I said, everywhere you go, people live, they breathe, they eat, they sleep, they die football, which is a great thing for us. You know, you want people in your program, you want people associated with your program that football's important to. That's the thing during recruiting. You know, one of the first questions we ask is, how important is football to you?
Right.
And most kids, actually all kids that we recruit, is going to be very, very important to them.
Final question for this segment. When you're out on the road now selling this Georgia State program, again, it's a program really still in its infancy, you know, just in our fourth season of playing college football. What's the reaction like as you go across the state and really across the Southeast?
Well, just excitement. I think kids these days, they want to be trendsetters. They want to do something new. And when they get a chance to come to Georgia State, they're going to get to do something that really no one else has ever done. They get to put their own footprints in the sand. They get to be a trendsetter. They get to be a hero. I like to use the, you know, you're always going to remember the first, no matter what it is. So when we get to our first bowl game, when we win our first conference championship, everybody's going to remember those groups.
Right.
And that's something that we're selling to kids, and I think that's something that's really, really special to them as well, as they want to be the people that get to be the first.
Well, Coach, appreciate it. Best of luck in the recruiting trail, and best of luck coming up this weekend as we head on the road for the first time to West Virginia.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
All right, I want to thank P.J. Volker, coaches the linebackers, also a big job, as Coach Miles pointed out, the recruiting coordinator here. We're going to take a timeout. Coach Miles and I will be back. We'll talk a little bit about this week's trip to West Virginia. You're watching Georgia State Football Weekly. This portion of Georgia State Football Weekly is brought to you by the Parking Spot. And we're back on Georgia State Football Weekly. Our final segment, Georgia State on the road. A tough one this week to Morgantown, West Virginia. Get the West Virginia Mountaineers, Coach, and they're coming off a loss to Oklahoma, so they're not going to be in a good mood. And
No, they won't.
for this Georgia State football team, just gotta go back to practice and get ready as best you can.
This Georgia State football team needs to find themselves. They need to find passion and a desire to win, and not to hang their head when things don't go well, and how to compete. We're going back to the drawing board, and we always practice hard. So when somebody asked me the question after the game, well, are you going to go back to like training camp? And we always, you come to our practice, you've seen it, we practice hard.
Yep.
And our kids practice physical, so we're going to have to find ones that practice with a passion and want to win and want to compete and give a great effort from the time the game starts to the time the game ends. So we can't worry about West Virginia. This isn't a game about West Virginia. This is a game about us. And we need to worry about what we can do and play the best that we can. We can't control the score. We can't control who we're playing, but we can control us. And that's what these young men need to know and go out and work at getting better this week and putting together a 4-quarter effort. And I guarantee you we'll be coaching that way as we do every day. So we're going to find 11 that want to go out and compete and go out and play with pride and passion the whole time. And it doesn't matter whether they're freshmen or seniors or juniors, it doesn't matter. But we're going to find 11 to do it, and we only need 11 to get on that plane. So that's what we're going to do, and that's how we're going to approach it and go out and try to compete. If you're a competitor, why wouldn't you want to compete against teams that they consider the best?
Right.
And West Virginia is one of those teams. They're prolific offense, and defensively they're outstanding, and we'll have our hands full. But again, it's not about West Virginia. It's all about us playing the best that we can and fighting the whole time and being competitive.
Well, Coach, as always, appreciate it. Best of luck up in West Virginia. We'll be there with you, and we'll see you right here next week.
Thank you.
All right, for Coach Miles, our entire crew, Dave Cohen saying thanks for watching Georgia State Football Weekly.